welcome in to Double Up. I'm Dubs Anderson. That is Geena Lucille. Geena, what is going on? Is it starting to get a little cooler out east?
I gotta tell you, Dubs, after Churchill Downs, I specifically bought that fur jacket just to stay warm, and we are rolling into Turfway Park, Aqueduct. We've got so much horse racing here on the East Coast, and I'm just excited to do a deep dive on Double Up today.
There you go, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Set the table for a new weekend in racing. We've got some Oaks points on the line. We've got some fantastic stakes action from coast to coast. We'll have a bit of fun. It's going to be a sprint, Geena. I'm not going the marathon distance. This is going to be fast-paced, high-octane, and we may even get into a couple other plays. Week 14, the NFL. I heard you've got a couple up your sleeve there as well. But before we jump in to breaking down some of these big fields and whatnot, I got to ask you, we were covering some of the East Coast action earlier today on FanDuel TV. These jockeys are riding whilst it is snowing. We saw the flurries coming across camera. What's that like, Geena? You've got the experience. You've been in the irons. How freezing is it?
It really is so cold, and you have to think the best way to describing it is getting on your motorcycle in summer gear during the winter time and just going down the highway, because at 45, 40 miles an hour on these horses, you're hitting that top wind speed. And the goggles, we don't have goggles that have fuzzy bits around them when you're snowboarding or anything. We are allowed 4 pounds of tack allowance of clothing. So you can only imagine how much unlayering you can do. And honestly, it restricts jockeys to ride in a lot of gear. So we end up not doing it. And as someone who doesn't really like to ride in gloves, I always found it a bit, I tested it with the weather. I would go out there without gloves and just, hammer down and come back with some split knuckles. So it was okay, but it's very cold, Dubs.
I was cold watching it. I can only imagine the wind chill factor there as well. So let's see if we can heat it up with a couple of winners. And of course, this is going to be a collaboration. You're watching along right here on FanDuel Racing. If you guys have got a couple of top opinions, a couple of long shots, maybe you're already crafting up those early wagers for the weekend coming up, let us know. Drop a comment down below or tag us on the socials. It's going to be a bit of back and forth. And, I tell you what, there's no shortage coming up. Saturday, Sunday, Friday. We won't jump into the Friday action because by the time you watch this, probably already missed the jump there. But great racing out at Aqueduct. We've got the Cigar Mile. We've got Oaks Points on the line. We get out to Gulfstream Park. They've got the Allen Jerkins over there in South Florida. International racing. Los Al, welcome back, little Los Alamitos. We've got the Starlet on Saturday afternoon. So it really looks to be jam-packed with some of the best in the sport squaring off. And cannot believe I'm saying this, already in the month of December. Where has the rest of the year gone? So, Gina, let's start with Aqueduct. Let's get out to the East Coast. It looks to be a fantastic afternoon, a fantastic card coming up on Saturday. And we'll start with some of the big races. What about the Remsen? The Grade 2 Remsen has been quite the measuring stick and a nice indicator towards having a bit of Triple Crown success. This will be for the 2-year-olds in that rookie season. Race number 7 going off at 2:36 Eastern. What's the early thoughts? What do you like the look of for this one?
Well, talking about the Remsen, I feel like a lot of people just don't really look at this race, but it has produced a lot of horses like Sierra Leone, Dornoch, just horses that have been really tough running into their whole career. So this is a great race to look at, especially with just 7 horses in the field. I do want to there's a little question that's just kind of circling in my head about the 3-horse poster. And this horse is coming in for Owen Hardy. All his works are at Turfway Park. So if this horse does not show up this weekend, definitely keep an eye out for him in the future, because let's not forget Rich Strike, Kentucky Derby winner, massive payout on Derby Day. So this is what we're here to do, is just analyze these horses as 2-year-olds and see what they bring in 2025. But now, with that being said, Cowaden, the 5, is my top pick. This horse is coming out of a maiden special weight debut. And, with that being said, the Chad Brown barn, he knows where his horses can be put. And when this horse ran 3rd to Tip Top Thomas, that horse was 2nd in the Champagne and really came running. So that maiden special weight there for $100,000. Those horses have come out just so hot and heavy. And I really like this horse, Cowaden. And coming in 2nd there is the 1, even though he's drawn on the inside. And Mont, William Mott comes in. He wins first time out, don't get me wrong, but the fact that this horse really was impressive first time out, winning by 3.5 lengths, just he's going to improve running his second time out here. So Tux is the one. I really like this horse for coming in for a place or even possibly a win. The pace scenario in this race, there's a couple horses in here that'll be fighting for the lead, so it might set up for a little bit of a close sitting horse that can come closing.
Oh, I like it. Little speed map and trying to set the table with who's going to push forward. This is the Grade 2 Remsen coming up there with race number 7 on Saturday. They're going the distance of a mile and an eighth, and a couple of question marks on a couple of these runners. Tuck's the one, never gone the route of ground. It makes the second career start. I like the look of post start, the 5-1 on the morning line for Owen Hardy. Flavion Pratt getting there in the iron. Certainly looks to be a progressive type, but comes off the turf course. Going to make that surface switch. This will be the first start out there on the dirt, but I mean, you look at the figures, a lot to like, and certainly looks to be one of the early speed types amongst this field. You've highlighted the chances there of the 5. We've got a couple of big prices from out wide, but for Surfside Moon, the 6 there, 20-1 with Kendrick Carmouche, certainly looks to be up against it. Also comes off the turf course and tries the dirt, and Gun Trader, the 7. So a couple of big prices from out wide there, but it certainly looks like they'd be stepping up massively in Great & Company for this one.
Now, if you're gonna jump at a long shot, if you're just, and you know me, I'm a long shot girly. I love long shots. I would
Go!
I would pick Gun Trader over Surfside Moon only
Okay.
because Surfside Moon, I feel this horse is a bit of a filler horse, and if he's gonna jump up, he's really gonna have to jump up big time. Even though Kendrick, I'm a massive fan, he just gets the best out of every horse. But Gun Trade. I like his running style where he can run close, and if you have horses that are battling it out or something happens, you never know. A horse on the outside that can have a really clean, nice trip, Gun Trader would obviously have to step up a massive amount. But if you like throwing a little bit of dollars down on a nice long shot, go with Gun Trader.
Okay, I like that. So you've given us the long shot play. It's a great indicator for who could be the superstar to catch going into the Triple Crown season for 2025. It was Dornick, and Sierra Leone squaring off last year, won first and second, I should say, and they've progressed nicely. There are a couple of superstars coming through 2024. So we've got the big prize from out wide in Gun Trader, Surfside Moon. I think they're going to be having a run career best to get the score here. Post start, the 3 is going to be the top endorsement for me. Geena, final thoughts before we move on to race number 8 on the program. Who is winning the Grade 2 Remsen from Aqueduct?
I'm going to go with the 5. I feel the 5 is just going to be the horse to beat. He has my check mark, and behind it, you're going to see Poster or Tux.
Okay, I like it. All right, so that's race number 7. We progress, and I tell you what, it certainly looks to be a great betting afternoon coming up this Saturday. You can jump in and play at FanDuel Racing. We've got the Grade 2 Demoiselle race number 8. This one going off at 3:05 Eastern. Oaks points on the line. Cannot believe I'm already saying that. We are getting set for the Kentucky Oaks already. And if you're looking at the leaderboard, I feel like should probably highlight both the Derby and the Oaks leaderboards right now. It's immersive up top. Surprise, surprise. Having the 40 piece, and then Good Cheer adding a couple of points there last weekend as well. So let's take a look at the field for this one. Grade 2 going the distance of a mile and an eighth. The 2-year-old fillies squaring off, and it certainly looks like there's some quality, there's class, but you go off that morning line, and the inside runner here makes a lot of sense coming in for Brad Cox. Third career start has been very, very impressive through the first 2 and has a perfect racing resume so far.
She really does. I mean, and Florent Giroux really loves this horse. He has said numerous times in the jocks room he just loves being aboard on her. Now, we're just not going to get a good price on her. Obviously, she's going to dominate the field, and she doesn't really even have to run her best race to do so. But on the outside, we both kind of talked a little bit about the 10 here, Ballerina Dioro, and this filly is coming in for Chad Brown with Dylan Davis aboard. And I think there's a lot of improvement that this horse can achieve, especially on the distance, and blinkers are on, so we're getting a little bit more of a focused filly.
Okay, I like it. Ballerina Dioro, the 10, 8-1 on the morning line. Dylan Davis, D squared riding for Chad Brown. Like that equipment change as well with the blinkers coming back on. You look at the last couple of starts, Gina, just completely misses the jump. With a better start, can stay a little closer there to the front markers and should absolutely be right in the mix. Oaks points on the line. Grade 2 Demoiselle on the distance of a mile and an eighth. It's the inside run of the one, shortest price there. We both like the 10 at a bit of a price. If we can get, I'd say, 5-6 to 1 come post time, I think that's going to be a fantastic number as well. So the fillies going through their first season, always trying to show a bit more improvement with each and every start. We're going to we'll take a turn. We'll go to the Cigar Mile, the handicap coming up. Go on the distance, obviously, of a mile. Cannot believe I just had to explain that, Geena. That's how your boys going here. Late in the day, the Cigar Mile, surprise, surprise, is ran at the distance of a mile. Oh, sometimes I even shock myself. Race number 9. What are you seeing for this one? Looks to be another quality field signed up.
There really is. And what I love about this race is that the quality sticks out and then the filler horses are almost just very obvious. So I'm coming in with this one, 5, 7, and 11, and you guys can play with that as you will. But now coming in, so you're looking at Bookham Dano. I don't see us getting a very good price at Bookham Dano, and this horse has so much to offer, but he's done a lot. So I like to look at, and he's 3, right? So there's older horses in this race. This horse has done a lot. He's traveled a lot. So you have to think of that sweat equity. He's put a lot into his career at such a young age, and he's doing great. But to be drawn on the inside in the mile with some really tough competition on the outside, it's just a big, it's a lot to ask for that horse. So I'm going to step away from Bookham Dano. I like Mulligan. Obviously, this horse has just been one of my favorites. Pratt has done a phenomenal job with this horse. Now, Morning Line is 3 to 1, so I'm okay with that in my picks. And the 7, Locked. This horse is a horse that I just adore. John Velasquez has told us numerous amounts of times how much he just favors this horse. The thing about Locked is he has a lot of time in between races because he's a really hard horse on himself. So he needs time off. And he not particularly is he dealing with anything in particular. He's just a horse that needs time, and at his best, he is absolutely the best. I have a question of the price, 9 to 2, but if he is the best, he's the horse to beat in this race. And Johnny has told me many times, I cannot tell you how much he's endorsed this horse and said that he's just really wonderful. Pipeline is a horse that I really like. That's the 8 horse, but you're going to see this horse in the pace. He's going to set the whole entire race with whoever wants to be up with him. But if he doesn't show up, you don't even know he's there. He's gone. He's just, so he's one that I have to kind of put aside. Senor Buscador. This horse is a horse I don't mind betting on, especially at 6 to 1, because when he shows up, he is absolutely good. So if you have Locked who's just not showing up because Locked is coming off of a little bit of a layoff, a little bit of time in between races, I would say, and you can kind of go with Senor Buscador and feel confident with a bigger price at 6 to 1. Now, the 11 post time, Brittany Russell, I used to ride with her at Oaklawn when I was an apprentice jockey. She got me on a horse for Cox one time. It was great. We had a blast. Anyways, I love her. She's a phenomenal trainer. She does a great job with her horses. And I have to say, when I look at post time traveling, I'm like, oh, he travels like a Volkswagen with 3 different tires on him. He just doesn't travel like the beautiful horses that were just used. He's a beautiful horse, but he just doesn't travel gracefully. But man, this horse is a digger. So I'm throwing in post time on the outside. He's going to have to really work out a good trip, but he's a hardy horse. And again, at that mile, we could see him tuck in, sit and relax, let the horses push the pace and push each other, and then he can make that late run. He just doesn't want to be that far behind. So that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, I like it. It looks like it may even set up for a couple of the nice closing kicks. You get that with post time. Always seems to be rattling from off the pace. And your Buscador, a very similar game plan. If we're looking at where the early speed may come from. I mean, Mulligan 3-1 on the morning line projects to push forward and try and lead this thing through first call. You've got Repo Rocks, the 3 there, massive long shot, but I think that could be the game plan for Ruben Silvera, who looks to be the pilot aboard. So book him Dano, the 1 inside runner. Irad Ortiz, considered to be one of the best in the business. It really is a quality 11 horse field shaping up for the Cigar Mile handicap as race number 9 for Saturday afternoon. So final call, Geena, if you had to have that single for the bettors, the punters who are joining us, who's getting it done up on top?
I'm going with Mulligan to go
Okay.
on top. That's the 5. Yep.
Okay, Flavion Pratt got an absolute live one. I'll throw in the 7 there, locked, who should be charging from off the pace. And for this 3-year-old, just having that one start for the year, I think this is a really good spot for Todd Pletcher and the team. So give me the 7 locked, and that will be race number 9. It is a loaded Saturday afternoon out there at the Big A, but it's not the only course that we're seeing some Oaks points on the line. We'll bring it out here to the West Coast, Best Coast. And Jenny, you mentioned some of these horses and the way they travel. Are you a fan of traveling? Because, I've been paying close attention. You've been rocking and rolling. You're flying out to Sin City. You're jetting East Coast, West Coast. Are you big into the travel, or it's just because?
I am a gypsy at heart, and it's probably because it stems from my racing lifestyle from when a lot of people don't know, I left home at 15. I had my learner's permit, and I just traveled with the racetrack. I started at the TaylorMade Sales, and then just started traveling. My most recent trip was just out to Kansas City, Missouri. I had just dropped a horse off to my friend, and that was with a fifth wheel trailer. She couldn't believe what I was coming to visit her in. So I just love the travel, Dubs. I just love it. You got to live life, YOLO, right?
Hey, you only live once, so we got to make an absolute banger, which is the great thing about racing, the sport, the industry itself. Never a dull moment, and always an excuse to make that next trip. So let's make the next trip. Let's get down to Los Alamitos. Welcome back into the party, and race number 8 Saturday afternoon. It's the Grade 2 Starlet. What else can we call this race, considering Bob Baffert has won the last 7? He's got a good chance of making it 8, Gina.
I know he has 3 entries out of the 7 horse field here in the Starlet. And I mean, he's not coming with 3 little ones. I mean, he's coming with the big
Beats.
shebang. He
Yeah.
is wanting to come back to Kentucky, and he wants to dominate next year. And of course, I'm a big Baffert fan. He's always been so wonderful, him and his whole crew to me. So I'm a big fan, and I'm rooting him on. But I do have a little bit of a play against him.
Oh, I mean, you can't tease us like that, Jenny. You can't hype up big Bob Baffert with the 3 runners coming in for this one, telling us how good he is, and then saying
He's
you're
so
playing,
good.
you're playing again. So he's got
I
the
know.
5 Tenma, the number 5 Tenma, 4-1. It's Juan Hernandez. So I'm going to say this is likely going to be the big threat. The blinkers coming off. If it's not Tenma, if it's not Bob Baffert, where else have you landed on this field of 7?
Dubs, I just know Los Al, that long stretch.
As long as
These
it gets.
fillies, it's as long as it gets. And these fillies have not been there yet. They're younger. They're mental. Like when you make the last turn and you're going down to that wire and you're on a filly that's just really exerting everything, and then you go, oh shoot, I have a 16th left to go.
More.
You can get caught.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, with he's got a lot of talent, and I love his fillies. I really do. Noonie has been a filly that I watch her and I just absolutely adore her. I love the way that she just digs, and she's just tough and hardy. But drum roll, I'm
Drum
going
roll,
with
please. Without further
vodka with a
ado.
Vodka with a Twist has just been a horse I have seen get better and better and better. And even in her last outing at the Breeders' Cup, she was kind of a little bit forgotten about, and she just came rolling at the end, and she was a big part of that race. So that just gives me more confidence in this filly that we're going to see a better filly in 2025. And that long stretch at Los Alamitos is actually going to really fit her well. And her morning line is 5-2, but I think with all of the Baffert horses and all the Baffert play we're going to get, she's going to be a better price on race day.
Okay, I like that. Vodka with a twist already has right around $650,000 in career earnings. So very impressive filly coming in here for Phil D'Amato and the team. That is Vodka with a twist. Kyle, the freight train aboard for the ride. You've got Pete Erden. He's got Aunt Mo, the one, the inside runner sitting there at 4-1. Umberto Rispoli will be back in the irons there. Well, taking over the riding duties, I should say. Speed, the numbers look to keep improving here. I think should get a nice little setup at the distance and could be sneaking there at a bit of a price as well. So I feel like we've got two runners going against Bob Baffert. He's going to garner a lot of attention there from the wagering public. So this is the kind of race where if you're looking to play against Geena, probably going to get a bit better value looking elsewhere outside of Big Bob trying to get the score in the Starlet, the Grade 2 down there at Los Alamitos. Is there another runner we could highlight? You mentioned Nooney, the outside runner, a bit of an early speed type and should be able to try and set the tone. Where else is the pressure coming from? Will it be the 6 and the 7, you think, trying to set the tone early in this one? Practical Dream with Antonio Fraser for Yak Team?
Yes, Dubs. And there is so much speed in this race. One thing about Nooney is the blinkers are coming off a Nooney. And a horse that is so hardy and so tuned and so sharp early on has a really hard time turning that off. And I get goosebumps because I felt it when they're just in the bridle and in the bit and grabbing it consistently throughout the whole race and you can't get that horse to turn off. They exert so much energy that there's not really left for the ending and for that last punch. And that's where Nooney finds herself in a bit of trouble. So Practical Dream. And with this race, there's so much speed. This is going to be a very speed heavy race where we're probably going to see very fast fractions early on. So it's going to set up for a horse that can handle the fast fractions, but kind of set off the pace and just let them just kind of beat each other up in the early bits of the race. And Practical Dream is just a filly that first of all, I'm a big fan of Practical Joker, so that's her daddy. And coming in here, she's just a horse that can sit off, and I've seen her relax even though she's on the front end and she's taking pressure. So she's a horse that can take pressure, but mentally she's a bit more mature than the rest of the field in this race. So, and Tim Yakteen, what a horseman. He's so great. So he's going to do a really good job with her and putting her in this race.
Yeah, I think we've highlighted a couple of names to know there as well. For the regular horse players, Tim Yakteen, but certainly underrated their conditioner. And Kendrick Carmouche, that's going to be my underrated pilot jockey to watch out for. If you're new to the game and looking for a couple of players, connections who may have a bit of value with them if you're jumping in this weekend, it's Carmouche in the irons and then Timmy Yakteen out here on the West Coast, another West Coast warrior. So that's the Grade 2 Starlet coming up. Race number 8 from Los Alamitos going off at 6:57 Eastern. So what a way to spend your Saturday evening as we get set for another weekend. Geena, I feel like we've had plays on top of plays. You've done a fantastic job. You've given us the pace scenario, how all these big races are going to play out with a couple of prices underneath there as well. But what else do we have going on? The sports world, there's no weeks off. The PGA Tour is down there in the Bahamas. They're playing for Tiger Woods. We've got the NBA Cup with their different fluoro courts. I cannot stand that in week 14 in the NFL. I've got a couple of plays that I'll dish out. But Geena, what else are you looking forward to aside from this fantastic slate of racing?
Well, Dubs, my second favorite, my other favorite sport that competes with my first favorite sports is the UFC, and that is mixed martial arts. And we have in Vegas, in Sin City, it's 310. And we have some really awesome. Now, I'm going to throw this out here because we have some awesome fights that are going to be going on at the UFC, but we have Shavkat Rachmanov, okay? He's Mongolian culture. He rides horses. He takes care of his animals. Great guy. One of my friends' all-time favorites, fighters that's coming up right now is fighting Ian Machado Gary. Now, I will say Rachmanov is a heavy favorite right now. And I don't ever want to go against him because I really value who he is as a fighter. And he is undefeated, 18 wins, 18 finishes, 6-0 in the UFC. Coming at Gary, and usually I don't bet Gary, right? And he always perseveres. He's got very crisp, clean striking, very pretty performance. I think Rachmanov is going to make it an absolute dogfight for Gary. But if you want to bet against Rachmanov, Gary might be the upset. And I'm just throwing that out there. So as much as I hate to say that, we could see Gary actually upset the unblemished record of Shavkat. So if anyone's going to do it, Gary can do it this weekend. And there was a sparring video at Killcliff. I kind of wouldn't. It made it seem like Gary was getting the better hand of Rachmanov in that sparring session, but you can't really go off of that. I will say there was a little bit of chitter chatter in the gym where they were like, "Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if Gary can, if Rachmanov can take, like Gary just looked better. I don't know." So if this is now we have Gary at plus 290. So if you're going to go against Rachmanov at minus 410 or 375, I know it was jumping up a little bit, so we're going to be moving it on the different bet platforms. Yep. But at plus 290 with Gary, even with a finish, you could see it. You could see it's going to be a dogfight, and whoever's the toughest comes out. But I will say, if Gary can keep it pretty and keep it crisp and clean, you might be able to get a really good return at UFC 10 on the co-main event.
Plus money peaches? I mean, I didn't even know we're allowed to give out that significant bomb there. Geena, absolutely seen them spot on here. Before I give out a couple of plays for the Sunday slate week 14, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's tougher, MMA athletes or jockeys? Who's tougher? Come on, give us the call.
Jockeys.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Jockeys. No, jockeys through and through, because jockeys have to ride. Some of these guys are riding 7 races out of the 11 on the card. They're cutting weight every day. They have more broken bones. I'm interviewing the fighters, and I have more broken bones than they have.
How many broken bones have you had, Geena? What's the count? Have you got a count?
I think 7. It might be 8, but I think 7. Yeah. Maybe a couple undiagnosed. But 7.
This is why your boy lives out in the golf course. So that's fantastic. We got plus money, UFC play coming up there. Week 14, NFL, a couple of plays absolutely love. Cardinals going against the Seahawks. We saw them play 2 weeks ago. ATS, the Cards have been fantastic. They're back in their building. I think we see a few more points. I like the total, 44.5. It opened at 46, comes down. We'll play the overs in that one. Cardinals, 8-4 ATS. All taken there to cover a field goal in their building. Bills taking on the Rams. What are the Bills really playing for? The Rams, absolutely everything. I like them, and I like a lot of points. I do think we hit the 50 and overs there. So give me the overs. Bills taking on the Rams. And then Chargers at the Chiefs. I don't know if the Chargers can win this one straight up, but we'll get them on the points there. We'll get them to cover this one. The Chiefs continue to let teams hang around late in the game, and they're really not measuring or trying to pick up style points. They are just picking up W's, and that's all that matters, and that's what we're trying to do. Geena Lucille, Dubs Anderson, this has been Double Up, getting you set for a new weekend in sports, racing, and wagering. Geena, it's been absolute blast, as always, and looking forward to doing it again next week.
Absolutely, Dubs. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's go. Let's cash. Get those tickets in and let us know when you hit that big one coming up for the weekend. Best of luck.